He was the Southeastern Conference Defensive Player of the Year for the second consecutive season. He will jump against Darnell Gant. And here we go from Portland. DeBost has it first for the Bulldogs.
And this is a man-to-man defense for Washington against a team that likes to shoot the three-point shot.
They double Bernardo. Brockman is there with some defense. Bernardo steps out of bounds. A quick turnover for the Bulldogs. Isaiah Thomas, a 5'8" freshman from Tacoma.
Really an outstanding guard. He likes to take the ball to the basket. He's really good with floaters in the lane, and one reason is he's such a good athlete. He's a little guy, only 5'8", but he is known for his impressive dunking ability. Man-to-man from Mississippi State.
They go inside to Brockman. He was covered inside by Phil Turner. That's a turnover, so the turnovers equal at one apiece.
And this I think is going to be a very interesting basketball game just because of the contrast in styles. Mississippi State scores an awful lot of their points from beyond the three-point arc, where Washington likes to attack the basket.
Mississippi State has won 6 consecutive games, a 3 by Boston. Picked up by Bernardo. Rayburn Johnson on the drive inside. That's knocked out of bounds. It will be the Bulldogs still in possession with less than a minute gone.
One of the things that's sometimes hard to do is to get really good blockouts on three-point shots. There's an hard to do.
Stewart with the Bernardo screen. Denton will stay right on the dribbler. Here is Bost, picked up by Thomas. Phil Turner inside for Jarvis Bernardo. He is seeing a straight jacket down low with no room to breathe. Shot clock at 17.
Now keep in mind that Bernardo's 6'9". They list him at 210, but I think that's with anvils in his pockets. You know, he is not a very big guy, goes down here on the trip, so he has been bothered by bulky defenders, and there's a whole slew of them out there for Washington.
Dentman denying the inbound pass. He is the senior, is Justin Dentman from Carbondale, Illinois. 16 seconds on the shot clock. DeBost will inbound. He's a freshman. Here is Stewart for 3 over Dentman. That's a triple on the first score of the ball game. Now Mississippi State averages 8 threes a game.
They score a third of their points from beyond the three-point arc. They like to shoot it in transition.
That is number 1 in the Southeastern Conference. Gant to Pondexter. He's quickly doubled. Outside Dentman. Handing off, spoon-feeding Brockman inside.
Brockman does a great job getting position, and that's what Washington wants to do. Attack the basket, get the ball inside.
Stewart works on Dentman. Here's the freshman Boston. He puts it over the other freshman, Isaiah Thomas. A rebound by Brockman, and here comes Isaiah Thomas. Pac-10 Freshman of the Year to the rack. Bost was defending inside. Bernardo was there. Dentman. Look at the crossover as he goes inside on Stewart, and that is a foul. With 17:53 to play here in the first half, Stewart picks up his first.
Washington gets the ball into the lane, and what a nice job by Dentman. Brockman clears out space in there. Looked like there was a bunch of guys inside, but all of a sudden Brockman's alone.
Dentman, there's a screen by Gant. The 3 and the miss. Pondexter gets it doubled inside.
Mississippi State really has a tough time rebounding the ball sometimes. Opponents have 125 more offensive rebounds than Mississippi State does. And Washington does a great job on the offensive board, so that is a mismatch.
Brockman watches Bernardo, doubled by Gant. Nice looking shot by Jarvis Bernardo, who's a junior from Brownsville, Tennessee.
Double team didn't get there in time.
Thomas goes inside to Brockman, who was shoved by Bernardo.
Well, I think he was more the shovey than the shover, but Brockman just moved him out, and Bernardo, trying to keep his position, grabbed him.
And Bernardo picks up his first personal foul. 17:20 to play here in the first half from Portland.
And Bernardo, if Bernardo gets in foul trouble, that is bad news for Mississippi State.
And Brockman will challenge him every step this afternoon.
Because Washington is going to look to go to Brockman every time. And Brockman does a great job getting positioned with his body. He doesn't use his arms and elbows.
Dentman off a Brockman screen. Here is Gant, who fires that up over Turner. And Turner gets the loose ball, and here he comes the other way, the sophomore. Then outside to Barry Stewart.
That's good defense in transition. Mississippi State doesn't mind stopping in transition and shooting the three. You got to find those guys early.
Arnold is screen, Stewart is double. That's a three and a miss outside by Rayburn Johnson. Brockman comes up with the loose ball.
And Johnson is actually the best three-point shooter on the Mississippi State team.
He's a good one. And a foul on the wing. And the clock at 16:41 to play. Rayburn Johnson picks up his first. 6 consecutive wins. They won the Southeastern Conference tournament. And a surprising run out of that conference like Georgia a season ago. They won 4 straight games to get in. Brockman a little bit too high for him. Turner had it, then he lost the ball.
You don't want to be throwing it up high to Brockman. Get it down in his core, in his middle, where they can't get at it.
Isaiah Thomas picked up by Boss. That's knocked away, and here comes Phil Turner the other way. Denton defending. Breakaway jam would not go. Brockman controls it. Here comes Isaiah Thomas the other way for the Huskies. Little shot, little foul on the perimeter. And 16:09, and Boss picks up his first for Mississippi State. There goes Thomas. He'll leave the game. Coming in is Vinoy Overton for the Huskies.
Well, you really don't want to miss opportunities in a situation like the first round game of the NCAA tournament. But I thought Turner sort of got in between steps right there. That's one where, you know, he thought, okay, I'm going to dunk it, but then he didn't really get a good lift. He just needed to lay that one in.
Matthew Bryan of Manning is also checked in now for the Huskies. A quick inbound pass. Pondexter tried to get it inside Overton. There's a turnover, and it's picked up by Brian Johnson, newly instated Brian Johnson from Laurinburg, North Carolina. Outside the shot by Rayburn Johnson, and picked up on the play by Vinoy Overton. He's out of Seattle looking down court, and that was deflected out of bounds. Washington will have it when we come back, in 15:52 to play in the first half. Mississippi State already with 4 team fouls against the Pac-10 Huskies, who are the regular season outright champions in the Pacific Conference. The #1 offense for this Pac-10 team.
And again, they do it differently than Mississippi State does. Washington only gets about 16% of its points from beyond the three-point arc, but they're one of the top free throw shooting teams in terms of free throws made in this tournament. They get the ball inside, they get to the line, they just punish you, and that's what they've done so far, drawing those fouls against Mississippi State.
Overton inside to Pondexter, who's double. That's knocked away by Johnson. Shot clock at 15.
Even without Jarvis Bernardo in the game, Mississippi State has guys who can block shots. Johnson 6'9", 245. They finally have some bulk in there.
Bryan and Manning will inbound. Denton over Johnson. And picked up inside. Augustus gets the rebound. Flying the other way. Boss with the left-hand layup, and then tapped in. I think they gave it to Brian Johnson.
I think it was Brian Johnson.
Johnson gets it.
Boy, what energy he has provided since coming in the game.
Great athleticism for this Bulldog team. Here is Brockman.
And see, Johnson's able to push him a little bit. Bernardo couldn't do that.
Bost. Rayburn Johnson colliding inside. Ball jarred free. It is off Mississippi State.
You know, I don't know how much Rayburn Johnson really wants to be trying to drive the ball at the basket. Here's Brian Johnson, though. What great hustle. The big guy in the game. He knows that he doesn't play all that many minutes. He's in there for defense and rebounding. That time the offensive rebound, and he converts.
Bost is watching Overton. Pondexter, the junior from Fresno. Overton looks inside for Brockman. Then fires one inside to Matthew Bryan of Manning from London, the 6'8" sophomore. Good pass by Brockman.
Brockman is a pretty good passer.
Look at this defense here by Overton. All over Bost. He can't even breathe. Johnson now picked up by Brockman. And Vinoy Overton right there defensively again. Cody Augustus across the lane. And he was fouled inside. Bryan of Manning will pick up the foul for the Huskies, who have won 6 of their last 7 and 9 of their last 11 games.
And this, you're talking about Brockman being able to pass on the inside. And Brian Amity does a great job cutting across the lane. You don't just stand and watch Brockman. You go find an open spot on the floor. Nice play.
Cody Augustus, a sophomore from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. During the 6-game winning streak, he's been effective. Romero Osby will check in, taking the place of Rayburn Johnson.
Augustus has really elevated his game over the last 7 or 8. You're absolutely right, Kevin. And I think he might be a key today because, as I say, this is a big, strong Washington team.
Overton the other way. Isaiah Thomas is back in the game. He started, of course, the point. He was picked up on the play by the defense of Beanock. Riley Beanock is checked in for the first time for the Bulldogs.
Early in the game, we've seen Mississippi State, Rick Stansbury's guys doing a nice job with a defensive concept, and that is they're playing Washington to drive the ball. They're dropping off, not giving them the three-point shot, but they're trying to defend that drive.
Ryan Amity picked up the foul for Washington.
Boy, Washington's defensive pressure the last couple of possessions in particular has been intense, and they're very physical on the ball. That's pretty tough physical defense right there.
Vaughn Dexter checks out. Darnell Gant will check back in for the Huskies. As you see, the field goal shooting so far for both these teams.
And the referee's checking something over at the scorer's table. Lorenzo Romar wondering what's going on. But right in front of us, D-Boss is telling his teammates to spread out. And I think that's really good strategy because the one guy is bringing defenders to the dribbler. They got to create some space for D-Boss to get by.
Austin Turner is also checked in for the Huskies. Here's Bost. Johnson with the screen on Overton. That's a foul called on Overton.
And
holding on.
That is a very good call. Overton trying to be very, very physical, and he just grabbed Johnson and threw him out of the way.
That's his first.
See, he's got him by the jersey. He's got him 2 or 3 times by the jersey. That is not legal. That's a point of emphasis. You can't grab the guy by the jersey and throw him out of the way. Point of emphasis every year.
A stretching jersey usually doesn't mean good things. We'll go inside for Augustus, covered by Gant. Fighting inside and finally tapped back in. Did Osby get that shot?
It was
Augustus. Cody Augustus credited with the deuce. Illinois Overton, as he is trying to penetrate, was shoved, and that is a foul with 13:21 to play here in the first.
We mentioned that Washington, the much better offensive rebounding team, but Mississippi State so far in this game doing a great job getting extra opportunities.
Well, it's Augustus who got that ball to go in. He's got 3.
There is tremendous intensity out on this court here. These guys are really going after one another.
2 big-time conferences. Here is Isaiah Thomas over Beanock. Rebound. Osby. And now 20 Beckham, who is in the game for the first time. Another turnover by Mississippi State.
Talked about rebounding.
Third.
And Washington, you would figure that they would be a team with a great advantage on the boards. They do a great, great job, particularly on the offensive board.
Elston Turner. Isaiah Thomas.
They've been able to do good things when they've gotten it into Brockman.
Turner, and then let him fire. Osby got caught up in a screen and was lackadaisical about trying to go out there and close out as Beckham races the other way, and here's an offensive foul. And with a little elbow, I think 20. Beckham has picked it up. He has his first.
And it's Overton. Overton he's come in the game. But you talk about a bundle of energy. He's been all around the basketball. And now that, he did get elbowed, but that is a play worthy of an Academy Award right there.
Vernardo back in. Brian Johnson will take a breather on the Bulldogs bench. Here is Turner. Up to Thomas. Brockman will set a screen.
Each team playing a lot of guys early.
Washington has started 4 of 11 from the field. Brockman picked up by Bernardo and Augustus. Snaps it out to Turner. Hit his first shot. Works on Beckham. Hits his second. 2 in a row off the bench for Elston Turner.
Well, that is a great contribution from Turner. He only averages 3.5 points a game. He's already got more than that.
Enoch on the side. Thomas is on him. Bernardo is shooting over Brockman, who collects the rebound. The 8th best rebounder in college basketball. Snares his 8th of the game. Thomas inside on Enoch. And picked up inside by Bernardo. And that is a shove and a foul with 11:50 to play. Brockman picks up his first foul. Watch Elston Turner, much like his dad, a good shot. On 60 Minutes Sunday on CBS, 11:50 to play. We're in the first half. 2 more offensive rebounds by Mississippi State. That has translated to 5 more second chance points.
That's amazing. Yep. Mississippi State, the three-point shooting team, 7 of their 10 points have come on second chances.
Beckham, look at this, Vanoy Overton. My goodness, is he active on the defensive end. You know, he's got the highest per minute steal average in the Pac-10.
Well, he certainly has the highest per second harassment average that we've seen in this tournament. He's been all over the ball handlers for Mississippi State.
Overton and Thomas. Brockman.
Mississippi State in a 2-3 zone.
Hammonding. Here comes Overton driving down that baseline. The other guy out there is Elston Turner. That's the Husky 5 with 11:24 to play. It's an offensive foul. Overton picks up his second personal.
And Romeo Osby standing inside, drawing the foul. Well, Overton's got 2 fouls, but he's really done a great job. And these are the three-point shooting numbers. You can see Mississippi State much more heavily reliant on the 3 ball than Washington Huskies.
Justin Denton along with Pondexter check back in for Washington State. That's a good-looking runner by DeBost, who just came off the bench and checked into the game.
And Mississippi State back in that 2-3 zone. Maybe a little bit to protect Bernardo, who's got the 1 foul early.
Pondexter into Bernardo. Brockman with the rebound.
Well, what great hands. What great hands. He caught that and shot it all in the same motion.
Brockman with 4 points, 4 rebounds. Great drive inside by Osby, but an offensive foul. Osby picks up his second personal foul.
And Brockman, he's the epitome of inside power. Just gets great position. Osby tries to push him out of bounds, but he can't. Catches the ball and knocks it in. Now, Brockman's not going to block a lot of shots, but he does a great job getting position. Mississippi State trying to force the issue. Stop, shoot a jumper.
Osby checks out. They bring in Rayburn Johnson. Phil Turner has just checked in for Cody Augustus. The 2 changes for Mississippi State.
And Mississippi State, after a couple of possessions of that zone, they've now gone back to the man-to-man.
Pondexter, right over Phil Turner.
See, that's a problem. You get out of the zone because Brockman's able to get position inside, and then the post up in the man-to-man, that's tough to guard.
Rayburn Johnson with the drive. Offensive foul on Mississippi State.
That's Jarvis Bernardo.
It is. Bernardo picks up his second personal foul.
Wow. Rick Stansbury looking on. He's not very happy about this, but Jarvis Bernardo going over the back. And again, that's a pretty broad back there for Brockman. He does a nice job blocking out, and Bernardo's going to have to go to the bench. We may not see him the rest of the half.
So the regular season champions in the Pac-10, the Washington Huskies, with the #1 offense in that Pac-10 conference. They're also the #1 rebounding team in the Pac-10 because of Brockman. And it's called inside by Rayburn Johnson. Bost, picked up by Thomas. Turner, picked up by Pondexter. There's a screen by Brian Johnson, who gets the ball in a pick and roll. Brockman defending. Rebound by 5'8" Isaiah Thomas, racing the other way.
Brian Johnson only averages 2 points, about 2.5 points a game, and so that's an advantage Washington if Johnson is going to be your threat on the inside offensively.
Elston Turner inside the Pondexter, coming off the baseline, right over Johnson. It's a 10-2 Husky run. We're only 176 miles from the campus. And they have got fans here in full throat this afternoon.
The Huskies have done a great job defending the perimeter.
It's Johnson picked up by Brockman. Brockman will pick up the foul for the Huskies and tagged with his second. 9:11 to play in the first half.
And Washington just doing a great job moving the ball. Mississippi State doing a poor job identifying their guys.
How about Elston Turner's pass? He's also come in and hit a couple shots. Elston Turner is a freshman. As you take a look at Brockman, who was just hit with his second foul.
You see, now that's Brockman with 2 fouls, Bernardo with 2 fouls. So the 2 big guys we talked about both going to the bench.
Great point. Ryan Johnson at the free throw line, a 56% free throw shooter. And you know, Brockman will leave, and Ammoning will come in and take his place.
What's interesting here is the Washington Huskies defense has forced Mississippi State to throw the ball inside to Brian Johnson. And no offense to Brian Johnson, but again, he averages fewer than 3 points a game on the season. And so that has to be an advantage to Washington if he is going to be the main threat for Mississippi State inside.
Bost is watching Thomas. Brian Johnson comes up with the loose ball. Pondexter had a hand on it as well. Look at the hustle by Brian Ammoning. Outside, Detman got the defender in the air and throws outside to Thomas. Elston Turner's at 2 in a row with 3. Good! Elston Turner's come off the bench. The talented freshman from Texas. 7 points, an assist, and terrific minutes for the coach, Lorenzo Romar. And that is a foul.
Brian Ammoning picks it up.
Brian Ammoning picks up his 3rd.
These guys are really scrapping after the ball. Mississippi State has it, but just can't hold on to it. Turner, the ball just escapes him. Phil Turner, the ball escaped, and Elston Turner, the guy, it ends up in his hands, and he buries it. He is, you know, we talked about Mississippi State's 3-point shooting, but Turner is a pretty good 3-point shooter in his own right.
Here's D. Bost at the free throw line as they bring in Darnell Gant and they take out Matthew Brian Ammoning.
Boy, they can really keep bringing in big guys.
You got that right. Here's Bost. He is 1 of 2 freshmen in all of college basketball, averaging 11 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. A freshman from Concord, North Carolina. Isaiah Thomas, defended by Bost. Screen right there by Gant. Detman. He's picked up by Barry Stewart. Another screen. Gant sets it. Isaiah Thomas, Bost on him. Shot clock is down to 9. Pondexter now with switch on defense. They put Phil Turner on. Justin Detman. Get inside, Phil Turner.
Boy, did he get up for that one? That's great defense by Mississippi State. Not going for the ball fakes out on the perimeter. They know they want to drive.
Bost with a 3 for the Bulldogs, and a rebound is pulled down by Darnell Gant, a freshman from Crenshaw High School in Los Angeles.
Now, just because Mississippi State misses a couple of threes, they're not going to give up on that particular strategy.
Gant from Turner. Turner off the bench with a couple of assists. Nice shot there by Darnell Gant. But Gant has his first 2.
Gant's not in there necessarily to score for Washington. Grant can defend perimeter guys. That's what his job is.
Huskies on top by 5, equaling their biggest lead. Brian Johnson, yep, he sure did. Too many steps inside for Brian Johnson. The Bulldogs have led by 4. The Huskies have led by as many as 5. The winner will play Purdue on CBS on Saturday. That 5 of 18 shooting by Mississippi State translates to 28% from the field, and they're only down by a handful of points.
Kevin, it's really very interesting here. Washington is trying to defend the perimeter, and Mississippi State's defense is trying to prevent the penetration, and so far it's the Washington defense that has the upper hand.
Rugged play inside.
And that's where Washington wants to go. They got the ball inside. That was a great job by Pondexter getting position in there.
Cody Augustus picked up his first personal foul.
You know, we talked to Lorenzo Romar yesterday about the ability of Mississippi State to block shots, and he said you can't be intimidated. You just got to go in there and shoot the ball, and that's exactly what we've seen Washington do. He said, first of all, they may not get the block, and secondly, you're going to get fouls called, and that's exactly what's happened. I think we're in a danger zone here for Mississippi State. Washington starting to assert control over the ball game.
Their biggest lead of 7.
And Mississippi State needs a basket.
Deep Boston inside to Johnson. Great fake. Pondexter comes down on his back, and that is a quick foul. You can see Pondexter picks up his first personal. His dad, Roscoe, played for Lute Olson at Long Beach State. One-time NBA draft choice by the Boston Celtics back in 1974. He's also a kid, Quincy Pondexter, who had that great freshman year, fell off last year as a sophomore, but has regained his footing, had a terrific junior campaign. At the line is Brian Johnson. Pondexter, since February 1st, has watched his scoring rise from about 10 points a game to 14 points a game.
Well, you know what kind of a career he's already had? You talked about him dropping off. He's a 1,000-point scorer for the Washington Huskies. That's not bad in 3 college seasons.
Darnell Gant setting a screen. Elston Turner's got 7. Lee Travel. 6:23 to play here in the first, and CBSSports.com covers every moment of the madness. Get the latest expert analysis and updates, plus live scoring and stats from every game. It's all at CBSSports.com.
Now, Mississippi State's had a tough time out on the perimeter, and they need to take advantage of this tight defense. They need to drive the ball to the basket.
Johnson inside on Pondexter. Picked up by Elston Turner. Darnell Gant, Johnson defending. Isaiah Thomas. He'll move inside on Bost.
How about that? The ability to hang in the air and lean back. Once he jumped up in the air, the big guys came at him, but he was able to lean back while hanging in the air and drop in a shot. That's amazing.
Leading freshman scorer in the Pac-10 Conference was Isaiah Thomas. Little runner in here by Bost. Picked up by Johnson to Cody Augustus, squeezing the trigger inside with a lot of congestion.
You know, Mississippi State's probably happy they brought Brian Johnson with him today. He has been everywhere on both ends of the court.
He's got 2 fouls. Dan's alluding to him being on the bench right now. Brockman is on the bench for the Huskies. He's got 2 fouls. Gant with the screen. Thomas off to Gant, into Johnson. Picked up by Pondexter. He'll put it up. Counted for 2 and a foul. He has been terrific. 10 points, 4 of 6 from the field. Augustus is hit with his second personal foul.
One of the problems you have when you're a team of shot blockers, watch 2 guys go after the shot. Nobody's available for the block out, and then Pondexter has shown us that once he gets his hands on the ball and starts powering up to the goal, you're not going to knock it away.
Justin Holiday has come in for Elston Turner. Holiday, the sophomore from Chatsworth, California. Pondexter at the free throw line, a 72% free throw shooter. 5 to play. First half from Portland, Oregon, and the Rose Garden, which is sold out now. With Washington here, good deflection by Isaiah Thomas.
That's
over
and back.
It sure is. What a nice defensive play by Thomas.
Well, now, Rayburn Johnson is trying to say that Washington touched the ball, and they did, but Rayburn Johnson now picks it up and goes into the backcourt. You can't do that.
That's the turnover story.
Beckham has really had a tough first round of the NCAA tournament here, and is trying to be the backup point guard.
Thomas into the taller Cody Augustus on the defensive switch. Pondexter now picked up by Augustus as they switch it again. Barry Stewart is on Dettman.
Boy, we've heard very, very little from Barry Stewart today.
Pondexter is screened. Thomas a 3. 2 seconds on the shot clock. Picked up on the play by Rayburn Johnson. And here come the Bulldogs and Barry Stewart. He got the fake. He got Justin Holiday in the air, 3-on-1. And Isaiah Thomas running it in. This is the biggest lead for the Huskies today. Beckham. Stewart. Rayburn Johnson for 3 over Holiday. Good offensive rebound by Barry Stewart.
Mississippi State needs a basket in the worst way.
Osby set the screen. Beckham throws inside. And there is a foul. Looked like Justin Detman picked it up. He did. That is his first. As Isaiah Thomas streaks the other way for 2. And 2 weeks from today, CSI returns with a milestone 200th episode you won't want to miss. New CSI Thursday, April 9th on CBS, America's Most Watched Network. And coming up on the half, some local news, and for others, it'll be the AT&T at the half with Greg Gumbel, Greg Anthony, and Seth Davis. Scores, highlights, and latest tournament news. AT&T Naismith watch update as well. It's the AT&T at the half with Dan Bonner and our terrific CBS crew, Kevin Harlan at the sold-out Rose Garden here in Portland, Oregon. Osby is at the line. Points off turnovers. Brockman on the bench with a couple fouls right now. Bernardo is the same way with Mississippi State, plus 7 points for Washington off of turnovers.
Well, Mississippi State has missed 17 of its last 21 shots, Kevin. And the most impressive thing about this Washington defense is they have limited Mississippi State to only 5 3-point attempts so far.
Gant was setting a screen through an elbow, and that's a foul against Darnell Gant of Washington.
And that's what Mississippi State needs, is some extra possessions. But the reason that's important, Kevin, Mississippi State attempts almost 23 3-point shots per game, and right now they're on a pace to attempt 12. So Washington has done a great job with that perimeter defense. Mississippi State is going to have to find a way to get inside.
Phil Turner over Pondexter for 3. And picked up inside by Darnell Gant, who has his second rebound. And Elston Turner back in the game. Here's Isaiah Thomas. He's picked up by Beckham. Beckham is 6'5", and Isaiah Thomas is 5'8". Pondexter. Double. No one on Gant. Late close by Brian Johnson. Gant has got 4.
Well, he sure does. Has made a couple of wide open jump shots. He comes in and shooting 36% from the field.
Rayburn Johnson on the fly, and he puts it in. He's averaging 12 a game. Rayburn Johnson hits that one. He's got 2. On this shot, we've got a foul. Yep, it was a foul on the play with 2:10. As Elston Turner picked up his first. We do have a sellout now because we're on the West Coast in the furthest West regional to begin on this first day of the tournament. They're going to empty the entire Rose Garden and then bring them back in again to separate the 2 sessions. We've already had a Purdue.
That's going to take a little while.
Hope they don't usher us out. Trying to do the 3rd game in 40 minutes or less. Here is Barry Stewart at the free throw line, a 77% free throw shooter. Look at Rick Stansberry, all-time winningest coach at Mississippi State. He was an 8-year assistant with this program too.
Nice job by Mississippi State to get to the free throw line.
They've had 8 more attempts than Washington.
And that's what, and you figure that has to be available. If Washington is going to be defending the 3 so aggressively, the inside play, particularly the drive to the basket, has to be available.
Gant to Pondexter, who is doubled inside. Brian Johnson is there to clean the glass. Then he is in a bit of a tussle inside with 1:54 to play.
And we've seen that a couple of times today. The guys from Mississippi State able to get to the rebound, but just not quite able to grab it. And I think part of that has to do with the size of Washington. They just keep coming at you. Pondexter reaches in and grabs it, and actually that should not be a jump ball. That should be It's going to go to Washington on the jump ball, but it should not, because Brian Johnson was touching the ball while he had his hand out of bounds.
Quincy Pondexter will inbound for the Huskies. Elston Turner on top to Justin Holiday.
So they get the ball anyway, but now they lose the possession arrow. That's a tough matchup for Phil Turner.
Pondexter. Boy, has he been terrific. 5 of 8. He's got a game-high 12, our first player in double figures this afternoon here in Portland.
Well, he is so big and so strong. Phil Turner, for all his aggressiveness, is only about 6'3", but that's a big one.
How about that shot outside by Turner? They say he's the toughest of this Bulldog group. He has his first basket and a 3 in his column with that hit right there.
For all their offensive struggles shooting the ball, Mississippi State's only down by 6.
Shooting 32%. Darnell Gant picked up by Johnson. Denton throws inside to Justin Holiday, and he was shoved out of the play, covered by Rayburn Johnson. Johnson picks up the foul.
And Pondexter, look here, he's going to operate against Phil Turner. He's got about 4 inches and about 30 pounds, and so on the offensive end, advantage Elston Turner. Now Phil Turner, though, an outstanding three-point shooter. He just takes Pondexter way outside. Pondexter doesn't come out, Turner knocks it down.
So here's Justin Holiday, who's the older brother of UCLA's Drew Holiday, hitting the first free throw, and this Holiday is now 12 of 20 from the free throw line this season. Boy, a young team. Elston Turner's a freshman. Justin Holiday's a sophomore. Isaiah Thomas is a freshman. Darnell Gant has been very important for the Huskies. He's a freshman from LA, as we mentioned before. Here's Boss picked up by Denton.
And Boss has really struggled handling the ball. Big key to the Washington defense has been their ability to pressure the point guards from Mississippi State.
Switch on defense because of the screen. Rayburn Johnson throws it over Holiday. Whistles out of bounds.
See, that's not a good three-point shot. Holiday's right there. He's contesting him. Rick Stansbury's guys just not doing a very good job taking what the defense is giving them. They're trying to force that three, and it's not working.
Rayburn Johnson, 1 of 7 from the field, leads this team in three-point hits. This team now down 35-27. The 11-point lead for the Washington Huskies equals their biggest lead this afternoon. Right now, a look at the in-game box score powered by CBS College Sports Network, cable's home for the NCAA March Madness. Well, the big story has been Quincy Pondexter with 15 points, the only player in double figures.
And he has done most of his damage on the inside. The turnaround jump shot, taking the ball to the basket. Mid-range jump shot, but Pondexter has made 6 of 9 shots. He's made a couple of free throws. He has been the one matchup that Mississippi State simply hasn't been able to handle. And who did Rick Stansbury tell us yesterday was going to be their hardest matchup? He was worried about Pondexter, and well, he should have been.
So the 31% shooting by Mississippi State. Points off turnovers, Washington +5. Points in the paint, the Huskies +8. So here we go, and the Bulldogs will begin it.
Mississippi State has to do a better job getting the ball inside and then coming back out for those threes. That's tough for Vernardo. Brockman's pushing up against him, and that's a hard shot.
Vernardo played 6 minutes in the first half, 2 fouls, 1 block, 2 points.
Mississippi State has got to get the 3-ball going, and they need to do it in transition, or they need to do it throwing it inside, causing the defense to collapse, and then throwing it back out.
Brockman loops it inside. Pondexter got position. And then it's pulled down on the play by Phil Turner. Here comes the sophomore from Grenada, Mississippi, who was picked up by Darnell Gant. The drive by Rayburn Johnson, and the rebound, another one for Brockman, who's collected 7 in limited time. Boy. Isaiah Thomas, a look away. Pondexter inside. What a pass by the freshman Isaiah Thomas.
Isn't it amazing that when you miss an easy opportunity on one end, how often does the other team go down and get you on the other end? And that's exactly what happened to Mississippi State.
Stewart drives on Justin Denton. Vernardo with the screen. Stewart can't hit. Off Vernardo. and out of bounds. Sweet look away by Isaiah Thomas.
Mississippi State struggling to get back on defense on this particular possession. Thomas looks one way, throws the other, and who is it again? It's Pondexter.
Little floater inside by Thomas, would not go. Thomas is 2 of 8. He's got 4 points and a couple of assists. Down the other way comes Phil Turner.
Boy, and Washington doing a great job finding the shooters in transition.
Bernardo over Brockman, who collects his 8th rebound.
Well, the strategy obvious here early in the second half. Get it inside to Bernardo, but he hasn't been able to convert.
Pondexter. He took that right over Rayburn Johnson. Out of bounds, Washington's ball.
Brockman does a great job with Bernardo. He knows he's not going to block Bernardo's shot, so he just puts that big body right up against him.
Good point.
And it's very difficult with that all that mass right underneath you to get off a clean shot.
Denver was coming off a screen, picked up defensively by Barry Stewart, who now works on Brockman. Into Bernardo, who knocked it away and out of bounds. His second block today in 20 seconds on the shot clock, and Washington will inbound.
Of course, he's the country's best shot blocker, and I think you're well advised to take it up quickly against him. If you start dribbling around, he's going to simply track you and get you.
Brockman 2 of 4 into Bernardo. Brockman so strong. Biggest lead now for the Huskies.
And he put his body right into Bernardo. Bernardo couldn't get any separation that's necessary if he's going to get up and block that shot.
Bernardo scooting right around Brockman, who collects another rebound.
How many is that Bernardo's missed here to start the second half?
A couple. He's 1 of 5. He's missed 3 inside. Pondexter got it on a great pass by Isaiah Thomas again, bringing the Washington faithful to their feet and their biggest lead this afternoon with Brockman's parents watching. 19 points for Quincy Pondexter inside with the 2.
When you're 260 pounds and you're playing against a shot blocker, the way you do it is put your body right into him, drive him back so he can't get up and block the shot. And defensively, you use your body the same way. You get right, you put your body right up against the jump shooter, make him uncomfortable, he shoots it short.
Here is Stewart. Denton was defending. Oh, another rebound. Brockman bounces like a ball and picks back up. This kid is something. He's got 10 rebounds, 5.5. He's led the Pacific 10 Conference in rebounding 3 consecutive years. A 6-0 run by Washington in this half. 11-0 going back to a minute 20 left in the first half of play.
He bounced back up, but that's going to leave a mark.
Oh, yeah. Watch him bounce. Oh, man. That will be black and blue tomorrow.
When you hit the ground like that, you got no choice. You got to get right back up. You can't let anybody think you're hurt.
Denton with the Brockman screen that opens up the 3. Bosch gets the rebound in front of Pondexter. Mississippi State has missed 7 consecutive shots. Bernardo running the other way. There is a foul that goes on Denton for the second time. I'll tell you, that's a fault that will make any mother cringe or lose a beat.
Yeah, we're watching and talking about how it's going to leave a mark and has to hurt, but the mother's there. She's got a different view of it than we do.
Yep. So my baby was bouncing. Bernardo. Lost. Picked up by Thomas.
They just can't get anything open.
Outside this shot by Phil Turner will go in. It's a triple. Much needed one by Mississippi State.
And what was that? It was the result of driving the ball to the basket, drawing the defense. They haven't done that very well all day.
And then Turner knocks it away at the other end. Pondexter. Thomas, a 3 over Turner. Rebound by Phil Turner.
That was well defended by Turner. He didn't allow Thomas to drive the ball, made him shoot the 3.
Rayburn Johnson flying into Brockman's defense, and the rebound collected by Darnell Gant. His 3rd. Thomas the other way streaking. Pondexter comes up with a loose ball. Bernardo knocks it away.
But Bernardo,
can he get up
boy,
there?
he sure can, but inside against Brockman, he just keeps bouncing off. Brockman is a load.
Brockman outside, 3 of 5. Hustling defense right there by Phil Turner. there's a foul that goes on Gant, his second in a 14-point Husky lead. Brockman right here, falling hard, jumping back up. He's got to, because he's got to go against Bernardo the rest of the way. Near the end of today's game, we'll select a Chevy player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Learn more about Chevy innovations at Chevy.com. Mississippi State shooting 26% from the floor. Bernardo will bring Brockman out. Turner now.
Kevin, they only have 9 field goals in the game.
Von Dexter coming the other way, harassed by both Bost and Stewart. Quick state foul. That's going to go on DeBost for the second time, Dan.
And that is now 10 turnovers against Mississippi State. DeBost has really struggled. 1 for 6 shooting. A couple of turnovers now. The starters for Mississippi State are 6 for 27.
Overton inside to Brockman. New shot by Bernardo. 14:58 to play in the half. Bernardo picks up his third. He had 2 early ones. He only played 6 minutes in the first half.
Bernardo is upset. He's claiming that Brockman is clearing out in there. Brockman turns and he claims that Brockman threw his elbow out.
Brockman has 58 career double-doubles. That's the most of any active D1 player. We showed you this graphic earlier in the game. He is the 8th best college basketball rebounder right now. #1 in the history of the University of Washington.
And he doesn't do it because he's a great leaper, Kevin. He does a great job getting position.
Way outside, it's a Phil Turner shot. Another rebound by Brockman with 11.
Where he just walks out, makes space for himself, and then goes and gets the ball.
Thomas to Ammoning. Brian Ammoning throws. Picked off on the play by Rayburn Johnson. And the nice hesitation earns him 2 the other way.
Generally, that's how you get back in a basketball game. You turn up the pressure on the defensive end, you create some turnovers, and you get yourself some easy baskets in transition on the other end.
Bernardo watching Brockman. Great series of moves by Brockman.
And you don't often see Jarvis Bernardo go for the fakes, but I think Brockman and Brockman's ability to get to the basket using that big body hadn't all been easy for Brockman today. How often has he been on the floor? But here he turns right into Bernardo and scores, and he drew that foul with the head fake.
What if Jim Mora Jr. would like to have this guy on the Seahawks, or certainly play for the Huskies? Here's Bernardo. He's going to check out. 4th personal foul. They will bring in Cody Augustus. And leaving also will be Phil Turner.
Well, you've got to take Turner out too, because if Bernardo's not in there, you can't go with a 4-guard lineup. You need a couple of big guys.
So they bring in Brian Johnson. DeBost.
You talk about somebody bouncing right back up.
You got that. There's a short 3. Bost grabs it inside. Acrobatic move won't get him the 2. It's picked up by Overton. Outracing Bost, slashing his way to the right. Coast to coast, non-stop. That's an offensive foul. That goes on Bost for the 3rd time. This Overton ignites this team.
Wow, look how hard he's running, and he gets buried right there, but jumps right back up and then steals the ball, and down the court he goes. He has been nothing but energy all day long.
Elston Turner is checked in for the Huskies. Brockman spinning on Johnson.
Oh, he gets called for the offensive foul.
That's his 3rd. Brockman picks up number 3.
Now, this may be a foul on Brockman, but this was a heck of a move. Right
It was a very good move.
He takes the spin, gets a dribble. Now his dribble stopped, and so he's got to try to jump to the basket, and it's that jumping in that gets him the foul. But that was a heck of a move.
Overton, Isaiah Thomas, Justin Holiday, Elston Turner, and Brockman on the floor for the Huskies right now. Brian Johnson driving into Brockman. That's a travel.
You know, we've talked about Brockman's strength, but he moved his feet very effectively right there. You know, we've been talking about his inside defense. And watch the big guy move his feet. Gets in perfect position, and Johnson loses his balance, gets called for the travel. The Washington defense.
Elston Turner. Screen by Overton. Picked up by Denton, the most improved player this past season in the Pac-10. Denton averages 15 a game. Brian Amity. So here's what we have seen so far today. No Jim Calhoun on the UConn sideline, and an easy win for the Huskies over Chattanooga.
It's a pretty impressive number. 14 different coaches in the NCAA tournament for the first time, and Ty Lawson not playing for the Tar Heels didn't seem to make any difference.
Turner inside. Holiday with the dance and picked up by Johnson. And it goes to Rayburn Johnson. This is over Overton. Turner fighting for the loose ball. That is off of Cody Augustus and off of Mississippi State, and 12:33 to play.
Kevin, I think you can probably count on one hand the number of uncontested shots that Mississippi State has gotten today. This Washington defense, whether it's in the half court or whether it's in transition, they've been fabulous. And Mississippi State, they have got to get some turnovers. There's a lot of time left in the game, but they have to make a move.
Denton makes his move inside. He went right at the defense of Barry Stewart. He's got his first two, and he's just given the Washington Huskies their biggest lead this afternoon. Overton again with the defense and a foul on Bost.
Boy, Overton, he's not out there to take any prisoners. He just goes after it.
His third. You take a look at the shooting today.
And of course, when you're a team of 4 guards that shoots the 3, your shooting percentage and many times determines whether or not you're going to win the game.
Johnson a screen. Bost with the drive into Brian Ammoning. And they give it to Ammoning, who was defending inside. That is his. Picks up the foul. Ammoning picks up the foul. Let's take a timeout. 11:57 to play. Biggest lead right now for the Huskies. 50-32 over Bernardo. He's got 2 points and 4 fouls, does Bernardo, in 11 minutes on the floor. His nemesis has been John Brockman, 8 points. Brockman has also collected 11 rebounds. At the free throw line right now is D. Bost, a freshman from Concord, North Carolina. A terrific athlete. He was a high school quarterback. He was a basketball starter as well. They won the 3A state championship in both sports, and he was the MVP in the state of North Carolina in those title games as a quarterback in football and as a basketball forward. Terrific athlete. Here's Denton. Screen by Brockman for Turner. They switch on defense. Johnson goes inside. Bost got a hand on it with the deflection. And here comes D. Bost.
Well, but even on the turnovers, Mississippi State can't beat Washington down the court.
Good
the Huskies
point.
doing a great job getting back on defense.
Very nice point. 25% shooting for Mississippi State.
Unbelievable.
Screen by Johnson. Here comes Bost right into Brockman. Cody Augustus inhales the rebound and taps it back in.
Mississippi State did some work on the offensive boards early in the game, but that's the first one in a long time that they've been able to convert. They have to get some steals, get some easy basket. There's still lots of time left in this game. How many times this year have you, in college basketball, have you seen big leads evaporate in less time than this?
A lot, especially with that three-point shot.
And they haven't shot the 3 well today, but Mississippi State very capable of doing so.
Yep, they led the Southeastern Conference and make it 8 a game as Pondexter tries to carve his way inside with 10:38 to play here in the second half. Washington has led most of the way, trailed early by 4. As Cody Augustus picks up his 3rd personal foul, and here is Quincy Pondexter at the free throw line, having a career year with 11 points and 6 rebounds a game.
You have to wonder how much that emotional run through the SEC tournament took out of Mississippi State.
I agree. I mean, 4 straight games they had to play with 4 consecutive wins to make the NCAA.
Wow, 4 straight games, 4 straight tough games, 4 games where you knew emotionally that you had to win or you weren't going to the NCAA tournament, and you just wonder how much gas they have left. They play that on Sunday, and then they come all the way out to Oregon.
That's a real good point, Bill.
And that's not to make an excuse, but Washington just seems to me to be the team with more energy today.
Stewart with the drive, and he was taking it down low. Detman was defending as Bernardo had just checked back in the game for Brian Johnson.
And I think that's a foul you take if you're Lorenzo Romar. You want your guys to get out there and defend the three-point shot. And if they drive to the basket, they drive to the basket. You're just not worried about that.
Detman picked up his 3rd. Bernardo with the screen. Stewart with the drive. Knifing his way for 2. Beautiful drive inside.
But that's the kind of shot Mississippi State has been getting to. That was extremely difficult. That's why you shoot 25% when you take tough shots.
Halfway through the second half here in Portland at the sold-out Rose Garden.
Let's see if they go right after Bernardo.
Pondexter's got 21. His season high is 22. Osby is on him defensively. Overton now picked up by DeBost. Shot clock is down to 8. Overton with a triple. His 9th 3 of the season in 35 shots beyond the three-point arc.
Now, we showed you earlier, they just don't make that many threes, but they've made 2 today. Mississippi State only has 3.
Boss drives into Overton. Tip-in try by Cody Augustus. Counted for 2, and he's got 9. Huskies shooting 45%, 28% shooting for Mississippi State. Brockman, Bernardo a late close. Augustus gets the rebound, and he's now collected 6.
And if you're going to close this gap, you have to take advantage of every stop.
Augustus right to Brian Amening. Oh, it's slammed in, uncovered and untouched. Romero Osby, the freshman from Meridian, Mississippi. Guys like that can sometimes ignite a team.
You got to keep getting stops and then taking advantage. You cannot have empty trips. This guy's been a load inside.
They've not had an answer for Quincy Pondexter.
Still don't.
Osby was defending. It's a season-high 23 for Pondexter, the junior from Fresno.
And normally you might see Jarvis Bernardo be a little more aggressive coming over to help, but remember he has 4 fouls.
Bost.
Stewart. They can't get a look from 3.
Oh, look at Stewart just lost his shoe. That's how deceptive his move was right there. He slips it back on. His teammate Bost is double-teamed. And the great dive in the hustle by Detman as his elbow was out of bounds.
Now, how smart was Detman right there? He sees Stewart putting on his shoe, so he goes and double teams the guy with the ball.
We have Cinderellas in this tournament, but there's a 13th seed, Mississippi State.
That's how tight that defense has been.
Yeah.
Detman was so close to him, he stepped on his shoe, made him lose his shoe. Stepped on his foot, made him lose his shoe. That's what you call tight defense.
Riley Beanock has just checked in for the Bulldogs. DeBost does a foul on Verneuil Overton. Overton picks up his 4th personal foul. Vitamin Water Revive is asking fans to revive their game-winning moment at ncaa.com/revive for a chance to win a trip to this year's NCAA Men's Final Four at Ford Field in Detroit.
And Overton going out of the game, but he's got those 4 fouls. But I really think early in the game, when the game was tight, he came in and he set the tone with his extreme aggressiveness and energy.
Well, I mentioned this before. He has the highest per-minute steal average in the Pac-10. He plays with a smile on his face, too. I mean, he's really a fun kid to watch and energizes this team.
And he just physically bullies people, and then when the referee calls a foul, he has an innocent expression on his face.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah. Isaiah Thomas is in, looking for Pondexter. Here's Brockman on top. Bernardo is defending. Brian Amening working his way into Cody Augustus. And the rebound is pulled out by Augustus. It's his 7th rebound. Bost, Beanock, Bernardo. No one in double figures for Mississippi State in this game. Cody Augustus working on Brian Amity.
Well, you got to make some shots to get in double figures, and Mississippi State just struggling.
Bernardo does it, scoops it as he curls around Brockman. He's got 4, his first 2 of the second half.
Well, you can't trade when you're down by 14, and that's exactly what Mississippi State is doing. They're recovering a little bit offensively, but not enough to make a dent in this lead.
45% shooting for the Huskies this afternoon, who have led by as many as 18. Dexter with the drive, and he stepped out of bounds on that baseline. Tom O'Neill right on it. Washington in control, the regular season Pac-10 champion, playing every bit the part this afternoon in Portland. We're back at the Rose Garden in Portland, Oregon. You see our high scores for each team. The shooting percentage for Mississippi State. Well, you don't see points in the paint where the Huskies are +8. They have ruled the lane with close-in shots. Out of that, 45% from the field.
Not only have they done that, they have done a great job defending the three-point arc. Mississippi State's only made 3, but more importantly, it's only taken 12.
Raymond Johnson goes inside for Bernardo, who is defended on the play by Brockman. Clock at 6:39 here in the second half. Brockman picks up number 4.
And Brockman having a little discussion with his teammates about the defensive strategy or lack thereof on that particular occasion.
Coming in, the Huskies had won 9 of their last 11. Mississippi State had won 6 consecutive games, including 4 straight down in Tampa at the Southeastern Conference Tournament a week ago. Bernardo knocks in the first.
No, not a great free throw shooter, but at 66%, he's, not bad for a big guy.
He talked about his great shot blocking ability. He said he reads the head of the guy that he's guarding. He said it was a trick his dad taught him, who was his high school basketball coach. One guy in college basketball blocking shots is Bernardo. He's got 3 this afternoon. Matched up with Brockman every second of the game. When they've been in together, here's Thomas looking for Brockman. Thomas got a screen from Von Dexter, who grabs the missed shot, takes it inside, contorts his body, and taps it in. Timeout, Washington. 25 for Quincy Von Dexter, a career high. He's done it inside and outside for the Huskies today, who are looking for a meeting against Purdue. The officials, by the way, just gave that last basket not to Pondexter, but to John Brockman. Purdue today winning over Northern Iowa 61-56, and so the winner of this game, and it looks like it will be the Huskies, will take on the Boilermakers. That will be the Pac-10 against the Big Ten.
Brockman on the bench with 4 personal fouls, and I think that's why Lorenzo Romar called that timeout. Brockman very aggressive on the offensive boards. His coach didn't want him to foul out of the game.
Brockman, by the way, with his 59th double-double of the season. Gant was in there guarding the driving Cody Augustus, and here comes the freshman Isaiah Thomas. Named after, Isaiah Thomas, who played with the Pistons on a bet that he lost. His dad, what a great play he's showing some vintage Isaiah Thomas here. He's got 6. His dad made a bet in the Detroit-Los Angeles Lakers NBA series in the finals a handful of years ago. And if he lost, he had to name his first son after a Detroit player, and he chose Isaiah.
Of course, they spell it differently, though. It's the biblical, the precise biblical spelling. There's an extra A in there.
Mom stepped in on that.
Yeah, I think Mom had enough of that bet and all that kind of nonsense.
Bernardo works right into Brian Amity.
How do you think your wife would respond if you said you had to name a kid a certain thing because you lost the bet?
I wouldn't even have that vote. No. There would not be the option. Brockman has a double-double with 10 and 14. Von Dexter with 23 across the lane. There's Brian Amity, 4th block shot by Bernardo.
You're not going to get a move like that by Bernardo. Brockman's shown you the formula.
Beanock had it taken away by Thomas. Then Beanock drew the foul.
That's an intentional foul because he reached out and grabbed the jersey. This is the way things have gone for Rick Stansbury and his Mississippi State Bulldogs today. Beanock is going to lose the ball, and he's just going to reach out here, and it doesn't really mean to, but he just gets him by the jersey. And that's right in front of the official. And when the official sees the hand pulling that jersey, you have no choice but to call that an intentional foul. So the penalty is 2 shots and the ball.
Former high school player of the year in the state of Washington from Tacoma, Isaiah Thomas.
Nice tip away by Thomas, and Beanock just reaches and grabs him by the shirt.
Beanock from Battleton, Kentucky.
You know, Thomas, it's sort of disguised in how well Washington has played today is the fact that Isaiah Thomas has really struggled in this opening round game of the NCAA tournament. He's got 7 points, but only shooting 3 for 12. He's got 3 turnovers, has 4 assists, and got his first steal of the game right there. So not not one of his better games, but his team hasn't needed it.
He averaged 15 points a game in the Pac-10. Sorry, only has 7 today. Switch on defense. Now Phil Turner goes on Thomas.
That's a pretty big stage for a freshman,
Sure
particularly
is.
against a talented group like Mississippi State.
Knocked away by Rayburn Johnson. Picked up inside by Pondexter. Here's a wide open 3 by Thomas. Dialing the triple, and it was knocked away.
Boy, how many times has that happened today? Mississippi State's had the rebound, they can't hold it.
Bernardo comes up with his 5th block shot. He averages 6 a game. That's deflected by Brian Ammoning. Picked up by Thomas. Into Bernardo. Tap in by Ammoning. Brian Ammoning puts it in.
That was an unbelievably athletic play by Thomas to get that ball up over Bernardo. How did he do that?
Little man in big-time basketball.
E-Trade is a leading online brokerage with everything you need to take control. You can trade stocks in 6 global markets, even China. Earn yields way higher than the national average from E-Trade Bank. Transfer funds in and out with a click. Get quotes and trade stocks anytime, anywhere with E-Trade Mobile Pro. All this, plus help when you need it. Take control. Join the 1,000 new accounts a day at E-Trade.
NCAA March Madness On Demand is streaming every game from the NCAA Championship online for free. Watch any game from the tournament live at ncaa.com. Even the mascot, a little tired here at the pace set by the Washington Huskies from the Pac-10.
And this has been a great crowd in here today.
Brockman is back in. Bost. Turner. Stewart. Rayburn Johnson and Bernardo out there for Mississippi State. Turner had the rebound. Looked like he was knocked off balance by Brockman, and they, on the tie-up, call it for the Washington Huskies. Boy, they've grabbed the lead, and they've held the sizable lead most of the game. Impressive game for the regular season champions, the Pac-10. Well, Purdue won earlier today here in Portland over Northern Iowa, 61-56. The winner of this game will play the Boilermakers. And we see Maryland and Memphis were early winners today in Kansas City. Denton by midcourt is picked up by Barry Stewart. They'll make that Phil Turner. Overton back in the game. Takes the place of Brian Ammoning. Brockman is in. Already has registered his 59th double-double of his career. Most among active D1 players.
And despite not playing a lot of minutes because of foul trouble.
Overton the drive. Brockman inside. Bernardo lassos the loose ball. Mississippi State averages 75 points a game. Today they've got 46. Pondexter comes out on Stewart. Little hand check and a foul. Called on Quincy Pondexter. Number 2. Now there's the Gonzaga mascot, the Bulldog, and they'll take on 13th seed Akron. They're getting ready.
You figure the Gonzaga Bulldog is shaking his head because the other Bulldogs are getting manhandled out here. It's a Bulldog thing. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Okay.
30% shooting for Mississippi State this afternoon. They averaged, Dan, from the field 43%. So the defense of Washington has been terrific, but it has just not been, overall, just not a good shooting day for the Bulldogs.
It's hard to shoot when guys have hands in your face the entire time. It's hard to shoot when you can't run your offense because of great ball pressure.
There's a foul on Washington.
I think that was on Rayburn Johnson. Now the Washington.
No, it was on Pondex. Picked up his third.
Okay. Washington has been physical. They've been aggressive. They've been tough. They've just pushed Mississippi State out of anything Mississippi State wanted to do. And this is what Rick Stansbury was worried about. He told us he had a small team. There they throw it out of bounds, and he wasn't worried about height. What he was worried about is that Jarvis Bernardo was his only starter who weighed more than 200 pounds, and I think that might be an exaggeration, that he's got skinny guys, and Washington just overpowered him.
That's over the head of Pondexter.
You know, Pondexter's done everything else today. You figure you just throw the ball in his neighborhood and he's going to go get it. Tough day for Rick Stansbury, but that does not take away from the job that he and his staff and his team have done getting themselves here. It was a great run through the SEC tournament.
That's a three-point hit by Rayburn Johnson, his 83rd three-pointer of the season, leading Mississippi State. And a foul with Phil Turner and D. Bosks forming a vice grip around Denton.
Denton, you know, who do you foul out there for Washington? Denton's an 82% free throw shooter.
The two scorer in the Pac-10 Conference was Justin Detman from Carbondale, Illinois.
It's a very impressive Washington team. They have
highest seeded Pac-10 team.
Well, and you can understand how they won their first outright Pac-10 regular season title since 1953.
You're right.
Yeah, not a lot was expected of them. You know, they weren't picked to win the Big Ten regular season championship.
Pac-10 here is a shot by Turner, who
Pac-10, excuse me.
hits the three. We're going to see Big Ten and Pac-10 come Saturday. Isaiah Thomas.
There's a couple of three-pointers going in right now for Mississippi State, but they're after the game has already been decided.
Thomas wheeling inside. And Vinoy Overton. He's come off the bench most of the season as Overton. Sophomore from Seattle. Mismatch against Bernardo. Isaiah Thomas inside to Overton. Another great assist by Thomas. And Overton finishes with a flush. A nice explanation point on a terrific Husky win. Turner for three, defended by Overton. And the rebound by Denton and taken away by Stewart. He'll put in a quick two with 56.7 to play. D. Bosks with his fourth personal foul.
We talked about Thomas struggling a little bit in his first NCAA tournament game, but he has done some nice things. You mentioned 5 assists. No one better than that one right there. And Overton can understand why he's got a smile on his face. His team playing very well.
Here goes Denton. He'll check out. Here comes Artem Wallace. He'll take the place of John Brockman, who is a demon down the glass as he has been all season. 14 rebounds for Brockman. You just saw a picture of his parents there in the stands. Both are educators. And the decision for John Brockman was Duke or Washington. And he's so close to his family, he wanted to stay close to home, so he stayed in Seattle. And aren't they happy he did? Isaiah Thomas at the free throw line. 68% free throw shooting. Wolfinger is also in too. Today's Chevy players of the game. Cody Augustus with 9 points and the 8 boards. You know, Pondexter was great with the 23 and 7, but Brockman there too. 2 terrific teammates on an underrated Washington team. This is a team to keep an eye on now. And of course, they advance to the next round. Thomas again.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they're going to guard you the way they guarded today, they can stay in the game against about anybody.
7-footer Wolfinger is in. Outside the miss shot by Rayburn Johnson. Wolfinger, who is from Portland, Oregon. That's why you hear all the cheers here. He is a 7-foot junior. He's only played in 15 games this season. Bosch picks up his 5th personal foul, and Joe Wolfinger will be at the free throw line, where he has only attempted 12 free throws all season. We've got a good one. Purdue, Washington coming up on Saturday.
Nice touch, too. Wow, that's really great. You get to come in an NCAA tournament game, and not only do you get in the box score, not just with a 1 for an appearance, you get to score a point.
And maybe 2. Picked up by Phil Turner. Scott Suggs is also checked in now for Washington. Taylor Buzak is checked in for Mississippi State. Also State has brought in Brandon Boland. So Washington wins this one 71-58. A double-double for Brockman, 23 for Pondexter. We got a great couple in New York.